And so some of this is just going to take you conducting this background research through the super search tool and through journals to find articles, and start experimenting. Just start looking and becoming familiar with how these sources are outlined. The abstract's going to be extremely helpful. It's going to tell you exactly whether or not you can use the source or not. It'll help speed that search up. Also, they usually have keywords. So if you need to tailor your keywords that you're putting in the search tool to generate different responses, or even to develop ideas, these keywords are great topics that you can use to help further narrow your idea if you're still in that stage of the process. You see here, there's an introduction, and then you jump into some data. And then usually at the end of a source, you have conclusions. But you will see how complex and in-depth this source is. And so they talk about several different issues as it pertains to COPD. And then, here's some references. One thing I want to point out is that in terms of our writing, in terms of citing your sources, do not look at these as ways to mimic how you cite your sources. Each of these articles are using a different style. I'll provide some information in just a minute about how you go about citing your reference citations and whatnot. So just be sure that, when you're looking at these sources, you're looking just for content. So that's a way you can take search results and narrow by, what we're looking for. Also, peer reviewed. We want to make sure the journals are peer reviewed. We also want to make sure we have access to the source online. So sometimes you'll see a catalog card over here, but you can't find the actual article no matter how you click around. Our library may not have it. When you filter your search, you might also, aside from these things down here, journal, article, dissertation, books, you may want to scroll up here and click full text to make sure that only articles that you can get the full version of are going to show up in your search. Peer-reviewed, scholarly and peer-reviewed is important. Library catalog refers to just if it's available in hard copy in our library. You can check that. Ebook online. And if you want to look at results that are outside of our library, we have what's called an interlibrary loan. So you might find a journal or something that we may not have and you can't find online. Well, you can request it through the library and they can find it through another library and get it to you. So just know we call it ILIAD. It's interlibrary loan. But this is how you start adjusting your search. And you want to get your search results down to a manageable number so you can actually go through and start looking at each source and determining if it's something you want to use. So that's the main search. We call it fetch. That's the overall search. You can look for books. You can look for any type of timeline. So when we say timely, if you want to, if you're looking at the CRAP method, and you're looking at the timeliness or how recent an article is, you can enter the exact number of years. So usually 10 years and less would be an accurate time frame. We want stuff that's recent. We don't want stuff that's a primary source from 50 years ago unless you're specifically doing that. So by checking just that timeline, we've reduced this down to 231 search results. And then from there, you can search by discipline. Say for instance, if you want to get a little bit more specific here and just look at medical sources, you can click that and it's going to narrow through and pull only medical sources. So we got that search result down to 176 responses. You can do several. You can do biology, sciences. If you're a public health person and going into public health, you can just click that and look at only public health centric types of results, down to 23. That's very manageable. But I just want everyone to understand that you can search for a term here, right? You can search for a term and add it. You can look at female health. You can put specific terminology in here and check it, and that's going to tailor your results. But these are your basic ways that you can narrow your search topics. So right now you have a topic and you're going to need to run searches like this to figure out what it is you want to research. What are your ideas? And then you're going to have to tailor your keywords right here. Different words, the keywords you find in other articles or different ways of stating it, to adjust your search results accordingly. So that's the basic way that you do this through the Super Search tool. There's another way. If you want to do it a little bit more manually, you can go through. I do want to point out, if you're looking specifically for videos and audio, you can filter your search there. For background research and just preliminary exploration of your topic, I would just leave it all open. And when you run a search, use those filters that I just showed you, just so you can see how the search results vary, how many you get in one area with one filter versus another. You can also go down here and look at journals. You can click journals specifically. If you wanted to look to try to find some topic ideas, this is a great way to go. This is all of our journals. So, like I mentioned, peer-reviewed journals are discipline-specific professional periodicals that are published usually 4 times a year. And in these journals, there's research. It's all of the high-level work that's conducted by professionals and professors. And it's ongoing. Remember, research is an ongoing conversation. So that's the reason these come out periodically and consistently in different disciplines, because we're constantly taking ideas in our specific fields and trying to extend them and understand more about them. So it never stops. It's never at a stopping point. So these journals are periodicals that are published probably until the end of time. And if you click the journals tab, you can go here and search for a specific topic to see if there's a journal for just that topic. So I'm going to, let me think of something that would be good. If you're wanting to look at how the brain processes information, you might be studying or researching the effects of standardized testing on cognition, or the way the brain thinks, or how it affects cognition. You could type in cognition in the journal search, and it's going to bring up specific journals that are just focused on cognition. These are individual, these is individual publications. You can go through. So if you want to, here's cognition and emotion. So say, for instance, you wanted to go through and look at how being stressed is an emotion, such as in standardized testing, impacts cognition, or the way that we think and compute information, to see, for instance, maybe how students do better or they do worse because they're stressed as an emotion in terms of cognition. You can go here and look. The search results are going to provide you with several different databases that you can find that resource on. I just clicked the first one, and it takes you to the journal. And so it gives you the title, the contents. Here are some of the actual contents here, so you can go and look through some of those sources. You can look over here and see different other journals that are related. You have your authors here, but you can search within this journal for a specific topic, and see if there happens to be an article in that particular journal. And so, it's going to take you through a search of that. And so that's how you look through individual journals. You can go through and find a journal that works for you. If you're not sure of your topic, this is a good way to go. You can run a general background search, but look at your general research domain. If you know you want to focus on cognition or a certain health issue, look up journals that are centered on just that topic and look at where the conversation is and what people are saying in those journals. If you want to change it up a little bit and look at different media types, you can look at video and audio in your super search, like I mentioned. But that journal search is a really, really good resource to help you get a little bit more specific. If you're not finding what you want to find in the super search, or the fetch is what we call it, you can look at all of these different journals. They're alphabetized. So if you click on, for instance, P for psychology, you can type it, or just look at P to see what disciplines are here. But I did want to point that out because that's a good resource. And then also, I just want to point out there's a databases button here. And so these are all different databases that house journals and academic articles and research. So, for instance, here's American poetry, American periodicals, aquatic sciences, architecture, probably biological science. You can use that search tool, the main search tool, or fetch, or you can go to databases here and try to find a database that's subject specific. So if we were doing cognition, I could type for psychology, for instance, in the search tool. And it's going to go ahead and take you straight to this particular fetch tool that we used before, so that you can narrow your results. I don't know why this is bringing up the sources it is here. Probably because the keyword was so broad. So with you developing your topic and starting to figure out what sources to use the Super Search tool first. Tailor it by those filters that were over here. But then also take a look at the journals tab if you need some help or to try to find some more sources. Both of those are ways that you find your sources. So, in terms of the sources you use for this research paper, this is where those sources are going to come from. You're not going to run just a basic search on Google or anything like that. It needs to be through our library website, because this website has all of the databases and all of the sources that we paid for as a university. Your tuition dollars pay for this. These databases and journals are not free. They're not public knowledge. They're not cheap. Universities pay hundreds of thousands of dollars just to have one single database, and we have all of these journals and databases collected for you to use. So if you're logged into the website and you use our Super Search tool like this through your Winget login, you're going to have access to what you need, the databases, the journals, to find the sources that you need. So we only need 5 for the research paper. 3 of them need to be journals. 2 can be anything as long as they're scholarly, keeping in mind that I'm going to be assessing whether or not you picked sources that adhere to the CRAP method, but also that have a balance of ethos, pathos, and logos. So this is a good starting point. I'm going to publish some worksheets and some guide sheets in the research resources folder for you to use. I would say by Thursday, you should definitely have a research topic and a few source in your research questions at least, as well as your thesis statement, and then start looking for your sources. I would anticipate that all of next week you will be actively looking through sources, putting this research paper together, and getting with me if you have any questions before the due date. I will be publishing some more content towards the end of the week to help with some of the outstanding items here. I plan to have some open office hours also. If you plan to drop in or if you have questions about your topic, reach out to me now. I would say by what's today? I would say by Friday, you need to have your topic, you need to have your research questions, and you need to have your thesis statement already made so that next week you can dedicate that to looking for your sources and actually drafting this paper. I will leave it at that. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you all are doing well.